Two men knew that a robbery and potentially a murder was going to take place, and neither one of them did anything to stop it. Ari Harris, who is also known as RJ, was just chilling at home with his wife whenever he got some messages on his phone. That night, RJ Harris was at home with his wife Taylor and his friend Michael Galden. According to Taylor, RJ made money by selling marijuana, and RJ had a phone specifically for selling marijuana. So on the night of the 10th, RJ got a phone call on the phone that he uses to sell marijuana. According to Taylor, RJ put the phone on speakerphone. RJ didn't know who the number belonged to, and he didn't know who the person was on the phone. Now, Taylor has said that she believed that it was a white male, and she thought that the man was older based on the way he spoke about marijuana. Taylor said that RJ at first said that he wasn't going to sell to this person, but then the person started offering RJ extra money and saying that he would fill up RJ's gas tank. So RJ did decide to go ahead and meet this person. Despite Taylor having a bad feeling about it, Taylor did say that she heard the man saying that he lived off of South First Street in Rogers. Taylor did say she didn't know how much this person had said that they wanted to buy, but she thought that it was a larger amount because RJ wouldn't have got up that time of night to meet someone over a small amount. RJ and Taylor checked in with each other, but the last time RJ checked in with Taylor was around 10:15 p.m. So whenever, 11 o'clock, 11:30 started rolling around, Taylor really felt like something was wrong, and she tried to contact RJ. RJ wasn't answering his phone, so Taylor hacked into RJ's Apple account, and she was able to use it to locate where RJ's phone was, and she and Michael drove to where RJ's phone was supposed to be, but when they got to that location, which was 2104 South K Street in Rogers, there were already police there. As it so happened, around 12:30 a.m. on August 11th, the Rogers police received a call about a suspicious vehicle at 2104 South K Street. The person that called said that there was a black truck that was parked in front of her house. She said she saw a white truck pull up next to the black truck. Then the black truck left, but the white truck was still in front of this person's home. Then they also said that they thought that someone was still inside of the white truck, and they thought the person inside the white truck was ducking down, which made them feel uneasy, which is why they called the police. When Rogers police responded to that address, they found RJ Harris inside the vehicle. RJ was deceased. He had died from a gunshot wound to the head. Inside the truck, RJ's torso was laying over the center console. His legs were over toward the passenger seat, and his head was lying back towards the rear of the truck. The position that RJ was in gave police the impression that RJ was shot in the driver's seat, and then he was moved toward the passenger seat so that another person could drive RJ's vehicle and park it where it was found there on South K Street. So I can't imagine how Taylor and Michael felt when they drove up to this location and there were so many cops around and they saw, RJ's vehicle there. They had to have known something horrible had happened. Taylor was able to provide police with a lot of information about what she knew, though, and I'm sure that helped the investigation. Taylor told police that RJ had a green iPhone and a purple iPhone that he used for selling marijuana, two different phones. And then he had a red phone that he used for his family and friends. So she told police that she thought the calls that RJ received that night were calls that he received on his green iPhone, but she wasn't sure. But when RJ's body was moved, the green phone was found under him. The purple phone was found in the floorboard, and on that phone, the Maps app was active, and it had a route mapped to 14818 Tipton Place, which was in the Horseshoe Bend area. So detectives and officers went to the address on Tipton Place to see if they could locate any more evidence related to RJ's murder. And at that scene, they were able to locate a left Nike sandal, which they were able to determine was RJ's because the right sandal was located in RJ's truck. The tire tread at the Tipton Place address also matched RJ's tire tread. Another really important thing that they found at the Tipton Place address was a 9mm shell casing, which looked like it could have potentially been what RJ was shot with. After finding everything that they found at the Tipton Place address, police started to really believe that RJ was murdered at Tipton Place and then he was driven to K Street. RJ's autopsy showed that RJ was shot twice. He was shot once in the left eye, and he was also shot in the right upper back area by a 9mm. As part of the investigation, police tried to do extractions on all three of RJ's phones, and they were able to get data from the green and purple iPhones. The only iPhone that they couldn't get data on was the red one, actually the one that he used for friends and family. They did find Snapchat messages from a man who I will call ZB. ZB was requesting different marijuana strains, 2 girly monsters, 2 forbidden fruits. And ZB's communication with RJ did line up for August 10th, around 7:40. He sent messages even up until, 10:50 the same night. Police looked at video footage from the Montenay store in an attempt to find what time RJ drove by the Montenay store, and they were actually able to find what time RJ passed by that store. But the messages that ZB was sending RJ were just a few minutes before RJ passed by that store, so it all seemed to line up. Also, with the footage from that store, police were able to determine that RJ could have only been at the Tipton Place address for a minute or two before the vehicle turned around and headed back past the Montenay store again. So whoever murdered RJ would have had to have done it so quickly, then move him over as fast as possible, get in the vehicle, turn around and head back in order for it to match up with the times that RJ was seen on that camera. Police were able to determine that ZB was on probation, so they took a trip to the probation office and had the probation officer call ZB in for a visit. When ZB arrived at the office, they did attempt to question him, and he refused to answer any questions. They did take his phone from him at that time, but he refused to give his passcode information. Police found Snapchat messages from a person named Laszlo that actually, I guess you would say, gave a referral for a man named Caleb to buy marijuana from RJ. So when police were trying to question ZB, they mentioned the name Caleb, and after ZB left the probation office, he walked in a roundabout way to a guy named Caleb's apartment. This Caleb was pulled in for an interview. He said he didn't have anything to do with RJ's death, but he failed a truth verification exam. They also tried to pull ZB in for another interview, and ZB lawyered up immediately. So it seems like police thought that they had this figured out. They thought that ZB arranged to buy marijuana from RJ, and ZB also went on Snapchat as Laszlo, gave a referral for this guy named Caleb to buy marijuana, and maybe Caleb and ZB did this murder together. And it could have been that way, but police weren't quite sure yet. So Taylor Harris was actually still trying to help police, of course, with her husband's murder. She was trying to get information online, forwarding that information to the police and seeing if she could help solve this. Which, I mean, kudos to her because the girl was trying her heart out. So Taylor was able to find out that possibly a man named Stetson Sheldon was actually Laszlo on Snapchat. Taylor also found out that there were whispers on Snapchat that Stetson had been planning to rob RJ, but also Taylor said that nobody really wanted to work with police. They didn't trust police and they weren't going to come in and talk to police, which I think is pretty, standard in some circles. But police were able to connect Stetson to that Laszlo profile. Taylor was also able to find out and share with the police that Stetson was supposedly living in a RV at the Montenay RV park, which, if you remember, Montenay is the area that RJ was murdered in. He had to drive by the Montenay store before he got to the Tipton Place address. So police visited the landlord at the Montenay RV park, and the landlord confirmed that yes, Stetson was living there at the RV, and he was living in lot 123. The landlord told the officer the car that Stetson drove and that they had been staying there for a year. The landlord said that the car wasn't there at the time, but they would call whenever the car got back to the RV. Spoiler alert, the landlord did not call, but the police happened to go by later on in the evening and they found the car there at the RV. So they went and knocked on the RV door. Inside the RV, they found 2 males and a female. They asked them to come out of the camper. And so the people, they came out of the camper and they were detained. It was a man named Damon, a female named Savannah, and a second male named Jesse. Stetson wasn't at the RV at the time, but the other 3 were asked to come down to the police station for interviews, and they did go down to the police station. So the woman named Savannah is actually named Savannah Stark, and she was interviewed on August 28th, 2021. Savannah was able to confirm that she lived in the RV with Stetson Sheldon, Damon George, and Jesse Stanford. She was dating Damon George. Savannah actually gave a lot of information. She confirmed that Stetson was Laszlo and that she had heard talk of RJ being robbed. But Savannah, Damon, and Stetson were all gone at the time that RJ was murdered. They were in Las Vegas. Savannah didn't want for Stetson or Damon to get in trouble for anything, which she did say, and she did try to fudge some details. But ultimately, Savannah said that Damon and Stetson both knew that RJ was going to be robbed while they were in Las Vegas. It wasn't planned for when they were in Las Vegas, but they both knew that James had planned to rob RJ because RJ had shorted James some marijuana. And remember, I said that there were messages about a Caleb from Laszlo. Okay, Savannah confirmed that James got a flip phone and put it under the name Caleb. She doesn't know why he used the name Caleb, but he used the name Caleb, and she thought that after RJ was robbed that he broke that cell phone and got rid of it. So then they went on to interview Damon George, and Damon pretty much backed up everything that Savannah said. Damon also said that he, Jesse, and Stetson all went for a drive, and Jesse basically tore apart a 9mm and threw pieces out in different locations. When it came time to interview Jesse, Jesse did admit that, yeah, he arranged to meet RJ, who he called Fat Boy, to buy some marijuana. And yes, he had planned to rob him. He said that he arranged to meet Fat Boy at the Tipton Place address because it was a short walk from where they lived in the RV park. Jesse said that he wanted to rob RJ because RJ had shorted him marijuana. But Jesse said that he shot RJ because RJ tried to hit him. Now, he said that, but he later took it back. He later said that RJ didn't try to hit him. He just shot him. When Stetson was located, he was brought to the police department to be questioned, and he basically denied everything. He denied anything that Savannah said. He denied everything that Damon said, everything that Jesse said. He denied it all. The RV was searched, and there were a number of weapons and a lot of marijuana that was found in the RV, but it didn't seem like anything just super incriminating was found. So just going down the line, Damon George was arrested and charged with hindering apprehension or prosecution and tampering with physical evidence. Stetson Shelton was arrested and charged with hindering apprehension or prosecution, tampering with physical evidence, being a certain person in possession of a firearm, aggravated robbery, and delivery of a controlled substance. Both Damon George and Stetson Sheldon's charges are still pending. Jesse Stanford was arrested and charged with capital murder aggravated robbery, and tampering with physical evidence. Jesse Stanford entered a plea deal in March of 2023. He pled guilty to first-degree murder, aggravated robbery, and tampering with physical evidence, and he was sentenced to 40 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, with 30 additional years suspended. Part of RJ's grandmother's victim impact speech was quoted in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, so I'm going to share some of that with you. I stand before you today representing the multitude of lives that have been affected due to the events of August 11th, 2021. On that day, we lost an amazing man who was a husband, son, grandson, nephew, friend, and soon-to-be daddy. He had the biggest heart, always took care of his people, and never left without saying, "I love you." His smile and laugh were contagious. I pray that you seek God because, unlike me, he forgives you. I pray that you think about Rujari every day, about his family, about his daughter. I pray that you know that even on your absolute worst day in prison, your pain is still nothing compared to that which you inflicted on us. Now, Jesse Stanford was given the opportunity to speak in court, perhaps apologize. He opted to say nothing at all. And remember the guys that I was talking about to begin with, ZB and Caleb? It really seems like they had nothing to do with this crime. So it's weird. Remember, Caleb actually failed a voice analysis test, but it does appear that he was actually innocent. So I think that the current charges that the other two, Damon and Stetson, are facing do verify that if you know a crime is going to happen, it is your duty to do something about it, stop it, tell police about it, something other than just sit back and let it happen. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share.